Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. As children, a lot of us played pretend, and unfortunately, some people never grew out of that. Today on rSpace, it's all an act, but these cheaters will never make it on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. Up first, this cheater takes rehearsals seriously. Caught my wife with two men in the bedroom, so I ruined them all. Hello everyone, I'm a 33 male. Before I delve into my story, my question is, what would you do if you walked in on your wife, whom you trusted so much, making out with two men on your bed? The first time I met my wife, Tracy, 29 female, was at the movies. I had gone to watch a newly released movie with my friends and she was there with her girls gang. We kicked things off that day. Soon we started seeing each other. We dated for a year and eventually married. What started as mere friendship became one of my saddest love stories. At the beginning of our marriage, it felt like being married to Tracy was a blessing. We were happy together, and I did all I could as a man and her husband to support her dreams and push her to be more. And for the first 2 years, we had a good marriage. Tracy was also sweet, supportive, and smart. I'd love to say that she was everything I wanted in a woman. A great cook, a fantastic personality, an elegant person, and she was truthful. If there was anything I loved in her the most, it was her truthfulness. While Tracy worked in a fast food restaurant, I was a graphic designer and worked with the organization that printed banners, billboards, design, etc. We both earned a decent amount of money, but I did most of the spending at home because Tracy used her money to pursue her passion. Before Tracy and I married, she told me being an actress was her childhood dream, but she never got the opportunity to do what she loved because her parents did not support her dreams. Her parents insisted she study something else in college because being an actress was not as noble as she saw it. When Tracy told me about her lifelong dream and her interest in still becoming an actress, if it was okay by me, I told her it was fine. For someone who didn't pursue the profession I loved, I knew what it felt like to be passionate about something and not to do it. So, I supported Tracy in signing up for drama clubs, volunteer roles, and other acting roles that pushed her closer to her passion and dreams. Also, we planned that she would go to a theater art academy in the years to come once we had enough money saved. Another reason I supported Tracy to pursue her career as an actress was because she was naturally talented in acting. Aside from being an annoying drama queen, she was so good at acting, and before I met her, she had taken a couple of courses and watched about 1,000 videos on YouTube. Doing all of these things showed how serious she was. And I didn't want to be the one who would stop her dreams. We paused on having kids because of her plans for Tracy and her academy. We planned to start having children after she graduated from the academy. At least, I believed she would land good roles in plays, dramas, or even movie roles by that time. Even think that it was I who kept encouraging her to volunteer for dramas, plays, and other roles because she could land big roles by showing people how good and talented she was. I did everything because I wanted the best for her, and I wanted her to be successful. When Tracy asked if I was cool with her pursuing her passion as an actress, we were still in the first year of our marriage, and by that time, everything was still lovey-dovey between us. We never fought or had any serious arguments. She was like a sweet peach who respected and treated me with love. For that first year, Tracy kept applying for different volunteer roles online, but couldn't get anything. There was a time when she even got tired of applying because she wasn't getting any response. She decided to focus on her new job, but I kept encouraging her not to give up. Luckily, months after we celebrated our first anniversary, she got a response from one of her applications. It was a play, and they wanted a couple of new actors and actresses. Tracy was over the moon when she got the mail, and I was so happy for her. The good thing was that the screening was held in the same town we lived in, so she had enough time to prepare. When D-Day came, Tracy passed her screening, and she was selected. She was so happy when she broke the news. Another good news was that they would pay them for their time too, and the rehearsals for the play were mainly on Saturdays and Sundays. I didn't know or expect Tracy to change entirely once she started rehearsals. The first few weeks of her rehearsals, nothing changed between us. Our communication was still excellent, and we did everything we used to do. The only difference was that we spent less time on weekends than before. The rehearsal occupied her weekends because she would wake up in the morning, clean the house, cook, leave for rehearsals, and return in the evening. Even though I wasn't comfortable with the new development, I couldn't voice it out because I didn't want to blow her first official opportunity. Besides, her weekend compensation was greater than what she earned the entire week. As weeks passed, Tracy and I started to become distant. To keep myself busy, I started playing video games, hanging out with some friends, or inviting them over to my house. My friends were people I had known since high school and college, so I trusted and listened to them. When I told them about Tracy's passion for acting and her gig that took her time, one of my friends, Eric, told me to monitor Tracy closely because there were rumors of women sleeping with their directors to land good roles. But I discarded his advice and assured them that Tracy wasn't like that and didn't sleep with anybody to get the role because she was very talented. Stupid me, yeah. With my response, they didn't talk about her again. They only advised me to monitor her closely because new actors and actresses like Tracy had high infidelity rate. I didn't take their words to heart because I was 100% sure that at the time that Tracy wouldn't do anything to hurt me or ruin her happy marriage. But despite not taking their words to heart, it still remained in my head, and subconsciously. I found myself being weird about Tracy and asking her weird questions. When Tracy noticed how different I had become, she complained about the questions I had asked her and how I had been treating her, so I was forced to apologize and tell her what my friends said. After I told Tracy everything, she just laughed and said she couldn't cheat on me because she loved me so much, and in her words, "You're the best husband in the world, and only a foolish and ungrateful woman would cheat on you." When she said that, I had inner peace knowing that Tracy wouldn't cheat on me. I wish. I didn't know she was only doing what she knew to do best, acting, and that she had been cheating on me even before we had that conversation. Tracy changed so much in the following weeks in a way I can't even describe. Our conversation started feeling forced, and that excitement she had whenever she returned home disappeared. Before she changed, Tracy was literally a parrot. She would come home and tell me about everything that happened during their rehearsals. Even though I had never been to their rehearsals, I knew all the names of everyone who rehearsed with her, how they looked, and their different personalities. This was because Tracy told me everything about them. We were that close, and I always looked forward to her updates every weekend, but everything stopped. In addition to her withdrawal, Tracy started being defensive. She took offense to almost everything I said, even with old jokes that used to crack her up before. She started feeling like I was attacking her with my jokes, or I referred to her in most things I said. Then, she upgraded her wardrobe. She had dresses she wore specifically on their rehearsal days, as they were pretty exposing. I complained about her outfit several times, but she didn't listen. She said they were the clothes in vogue, and I was old school. While she did all these, I thought she was only trying to keep up with the other actresses who dressed better than her. I knew she was competitive fashion-wise, so the last thing that crossed my mind was her cheating. I started getting suspicious when she would change her hairstyle every week and was always on the phone talking with a man she claimed she was acting with. One day, she did something that really pissed me off, and when I voiced out my anger, she yelled at me and walked out on me. It was the first time she did something like that, and I immediately knew I had to do something about it. Later that evening, I talked to my friends when they came over, and they bet that Tracy was already cheating on me. Even with all the signs and changes I had seen, I couldn't believe Tracy was cheating on me because I made a lot of sacrifices for her to get to the level she was. I argued with them that maybe Tracy was having a tough time and she was taking out the frustration on me. They insisted that I was blinded by love and that I should hire a private investigator if I wanted to find out if Tracy was cheating on me. I didn't like the idea of someone following Tracy around, but I subscribed to it because of her change in attitude. The following week, I found a private investigator online and hired him to follow Tracy for a week. On the third day of the week, when the PI was following her, Tracy did not come home after her rehearsals. The following day, when she returned home, she said she went to a club for one of her fellow actresses' birthday parties. She had to crash with them at a nearby hotel because she thought it was safer than coming home from a far distance. The funny thing was, she didn't inform me about the birthday party, and I kept calling her phone until 3 a.m. When she picked up the call by 3 a.m., she said she didn't hear it ring because of the loud music in the background. Then she lied that she told me about the all-night birthday party, but I wasn't listening. I suspected she was lying, but I knew I would find out the truth because the PI was following her. For 7 days, I didn't hear back from the PI, and by the time I heard back from him, I was out of town to visit my parents. I was on my way home when the PI informed me that he had some things to show me. So instead of driving home, I went to meet him at his location. Meanwhile, Tracy did not know I was coming home that day. We spoke the day before, which was Friday, and I told her I'd be coming home on Monday morning because I felt I would spend more time with my parents, but I ended up returning on Saturday. When I met my PI, he showed me things that shattered me and made me speechless. He had photos and videos of Tracy with a blonde guy who turned out to be her affair partner. There were pictures of them making out in Tracy's car, affair partner's car, going shopping, eating out, and a video from the night Tracy told me she went to one of her fellow actresses' birthday parties at a club and didn't hear the phone ring. Through that video, I found out that she was with him the entire night. They went clubbing together, but left around 10 p.m., and they drove to his apartment, where she spent the rest of the night. So, it meant she had seen my calls but deliberately refused to take them. I was shocked that Tracy cheated on me. She looked like someone with whom I could build a promising future, but she blew that up. So, after the PI showed me all of those pictures and videos, he told me he followed Tracy that evening too, and she was currently with her affair partner in my home before he left to call me. At that moment, I was so full of rage and I wanted to break things. I was too angry to drive, so my PI drove me to my house. When we got there, I met a blue Toyota Venza parked in my driveway, and I instantly recognized the car. It was the exact car I saw in the pictures and videos, and I instantly knew Tracy was in there with her affair partner. My PI opted to follow me, but I don't recall whether I agreed. The next thing I knew, I was in the house, and as I opened our bedroom door, I met Tracy and two men in the act of their positions. The tall blonde guy was on top of Tracy, and the other man was sucking her down. I was wild with anger and didn't know which of the men to attack first. Tracy wore one of those sluttish, netty lingeries, and her two hands were cuffed to the bed. She tried to get up when she saw me, but her movement was restricted. I attacked the blonde guy while the other man picked up his clothes and scurried away like a rat. Thankfully, my PI had come in with me, and he stopped me from committing murder. While all this happened, Tracy was still cuffed to the bed and already started begging me. She said I was mistaken and was only rehearsing her role for the play with the men. Hearing her stupid excuse enraged me, and I felt like choking her in that vulnerable position. But I left the room and told her to be out of my house by the time I returned. After I left the house with my PI, he told me that he had recorded everything and shared the video with me. I didn't know what to do with the video, but I still took it from him. That night, I crashed at one of my friend's places. I was so embarrassed that he was right about Tracy and her new acting career. What was even more heartbreaking was Tracy having a threesome in our room and in our bed. When I got home the next morning, Tracy was still in the house. She didn't go to her rehearsals because she knew she had messed up. When I met her at home, my anger escalated, and I kicked her out of the house and threw her stuff out on the lawn. While she begged me, she kept saying that I was making a mistake and I should let her explain what really happened. She stayed outside for almost an hour, shouting my name and pleading to let her in. But after acting like she was remorseful, she became abusive, called me names, and left afterward. This happened last week, and I finally dared to share it here because I have not been myself since the day I caught Tracy with those two guys. I don't know how all of this happened right under my nose. I wasn't a simp that over-pampered Tracy or anything. We shared the bills, she did most of the chores, and I always controlled my emotions around her. I'm saying this because I've seen stories where most men ignore the red flags. Now that I think of it, I should have started my investigation from the moment our communication dropped and she upgraded her wardrobe. But is that how marriage is meant to be? Suspect your spouse when he or she gets new clothes or stops talking to you like they used to because they are always tired when they return from work? I don't think so. The most annoying thing is that she has been calling my phone nonstop since I kicked her out. I've been thinking of the perfect revenge and want to show the video I got to her director. Wow. Rehearsing for a role with someone else inside her. I didn't know that's how people rehearse nowadays. I'm sorry, OP. When our friends are telling us some hard truths, we oftentimes don't want anything to do with it. It's hard to believe that our sweet peaches can go sour. It sucks that she took advantage of the fact that you supported her in her dreams without question. Turns out your wife is a super talented actress after all. She certainly fooled you. Update 1. Hello everyone, thank you for your comments. I'm glad you all don't think it's too extreme. So someone commented that I did a little investigation on the second guy in the video, and I did. Guess what, guys? I discovered he's bi and is currently in a relationship with Tracy's director. Tracy's director is homosexual, and I can imagine how angry and betrayed he will feel when he finds out that Tracy seduced his boyfriend. Speaking of Tracy, she showed up at my place 3 days ago. She looked so miserable and her eyelids were swollen from crying. Unfortunately for her, my friends were at home when she came to beg me. Although they didn't say anything to her, their body language and eye rolls annoyed Tracy. She got so annoyed to me hanging out with my friends while abandoning her that she yelled at me. "So this is it, Mike? You'll let your friends disrespect your wife like this because of a small disagreement between us?" The whole time Tracy was pleading with me on the porch, I didn't say or do anything. I was inside the house listening to her, but when she shamelessly made this statement, I charged out of the house to give her the hearings of her life. But my friend stopped me. At that moment, I was ready to be arrested for assault and wanted to be worthy of the charge. Before she left my house that day, she made a scene. She started talking about all the promises we made to each other and how I promised to grow old with her. I was so angry, but I couldn't do anything even if I wanted to. After waiting for a while and she didn't get any response from me, she asked about the theater art academy that I promised to support her. I wanted to go out and tell her to go to her affair partners for support, but I wanted her to stop talking and leave already, so I didn't respond. After waiting for a while, she eventually left in shame. I've already contacted a divorce lawyer, and once the papers are ready, he will send them to her to sign. Concerning the revenge, I will do as you guys have said. I understand that showing the video to her director might not destroy her career, but it will ruin everything she has worked hard for months. Sending the video to her director has even made me more excited now that I know Tracy cheated on me with her director's boyfriend. Thank you, everyone. I will make another update soon. First of all, a small disagreement? Surely she must be joking. She really had the audacity to tell you about broken promises and growing old together when she was the one who went and cheated? Where does she honestly get off? She should have thought about a happily ever after before she decided to betray you. I guess your friends are right. People in that line of business really do practice infidelity. Update 2. Hey guys, I'm so excited to make this update because things became messier for Tracy than I expected. After I made the last update, it took me 2 weeks to search for her director online, and I found him. He's just someone starting out in the movie industry as a director, and so far, he has been making waves. So, Tracy's director and I fixed a day to meet each other, and he showed up. He was hooked on meeting me because I told him I had something to show him about his partner and one of his actors. When we met that day, I didn't waste time talking. We exchanged pleasantries, and I showed him the video of his boyfriend, the blonde guy, and Tracy. He was so disappointed and heartbroken that he cried there. No kidding. He told me he suspected his boyfriend was doing something with one of the cast members, but he wasn't sure because he never caught them. Also, he claimed his boyfriend had cheated on him once in the past, but he, the director, forgave him, his partner, because he pleaded it happened while he was under the influence of alcohol. Honestly, I wasn't so interested in what his boyfriend had done. I was more interested in what he would do to Tracy and her affair partner. When I asked him what he would do with them, he said he didn't think of anything yet. I told him it would be weak of him to let them go off the hook like that, especially after what Tracy did to him. To cut the story short, Tracy's director fired Tracy and her blonde affair partner, but I don't know if he broke up with his boyfriend after that. When Tracy was fired, I was glad to see her hard work scatter like dust in the wind. I wanted her to feel the pain of putting her 100% into something, but it ended up being destroyed by someone else. By the time Tracy got fired, the divorce papers were ready, and my lawyers sent them to her. The day she got the papers, she called me and begged that I shouldn't ruin everything we suffered hard to build. I told her she ruined it the day she started nursing the thoughts of cheating on me. I told her I was the one who showed the video that ruined her months of hard work with her director. I knew she would flip when she heard that, and she did. She said she knew I was jealous of her and hated that she could pursue her passion and I couldn't. I just laughed because I knew what she was trying to do. And I hung up the call. She signed the divorce papers 2 weeks ago, and I am making this update as a divorcee. Although it hurts, I'm glad she is no longer in my life. Thank you to everyone for all your comments and support. You're absolutely right, OP. She did ruin it for herself, and she has no one to blame but herself. Honestly, good riddance. How could you ever be with someone who was just out for themselves and wearing a mask the entire time? That's no marriage at all. Frankly, she got what was coming to her. Looks like we won't see her on the red carpet anytime soon. What do you make of this? Next up, this cheater was only looking for some fun at the expense of his family. I just found out I am the other person and know the significant other. Seeking advice as to how to tell them. I'm writing this because I just need some advice from people who have been impacted firsthand by cheating, and perhaps found out from the other person. Just before anyone asks, I had no idea that he was married before we started hooking up. I'm a bi guy and single, and occasionally use the apps for casual meets. In January, I met someone for a casual meet, and it was enjoyable enough for us to meet up semi-regularly just for fun. He told me he was single too, but lived in a shared house with his brother, so we only met at my place. I would never meet anyone if I knew they were attached. I have never been cheated on, but my father did this to my mother, so I know how destructive infidelity is, and I always block people who are looking for fun on the side. Anyway, the way I found out was that I saw him at the local shopping center with a woman and 2 kids. It was obvious in the way they interacted that they were a family. The woman, his wife, is actually one of my staff members who I hired about 1.5 years ago. I manage a team of 12 staff in the financial services. I got the F out of there and messaged him when I was home to ask if he was married, and he said yes. I asked him why he lied about being single, and he said that he didn't understand why I was mad about it, when I wasn't even looking for anything more than something casual. I didn't bother trying to argue moral sense with him and just told him I didn't want to meet up with him again. He doesn't know at this stage that I know his wife. I'm just so stuck. I want her to know what he's doing. I care about my staff members, and I know how hard she works at the office and at home, but I don't know how to even approach this. If I tell her and admit my part in it, then how can she possibly come to work each day with me? If I tell him that I work with his wife and threaten to tell her unless he does, then if he might find out the capacity in which I work with her and use that against me. If I send her an anonymous note, I think it could make it worse for her, because she might not believe it and it might just make things worse. I just don't know what to do. I want to do the right thing, and if I didn't work with her, I think it would be easier for me to reach out and tell her. I'm sure there is someone in this sub who found out from the other person. Have you any advice? Especially if you knew the other person. I just feel sick about this. Edit. Thanks everyone. I have decided how I go ahead with this. I really appreciate the insights and will create a new post a little later. I wonder if you're afraid of the fact that she works with you and it might disrupt the work-life balance, and the fact that she'll see you at work. What if you told her anonymously? Would it be bad if you omitted the fact that he was cheating on her with you and she just knew he was cheating on her with somebody? Or would you prefer she knew it was you, OP? At the same time, he had a point about it being just for fun and casual. Nothing was really locked in for the two of you. But I guess that's not the point. The point is that he was cheating and his wife was unaware. It would have been different if you caught him with someone and he wasn't married, as if he was just casually seeing two people at the same time. What do you all think? Is it wrong either way? Update. Thanks everyone for your responses. A few people messaged me requesting an update, so this is a brief post to provide that. The short version was that I found out the man I have had casual relationship with is actually married to one of my staff members. Link to original post below. I decided that telling her in person would just raise too many complications. She's a great employee with a bright future, and I think telling her would make it impossible for her to be comfortable in the workplace again. Similarly for me, I just can't risk the blowback. I took the advice of one user and created a different profile on the app that I met him, arranged a meetup, didn't follow through to meet of course, and screenshotted the conversation. He had sent his pics, stated what he likes to do, referred to when he usually meets guys for hookups, so she knows he has done it before. I sent her the screenshots from a throwaway email and tried to tell her as gently as I could that I found out after the meetup that he was married and wanted her to know so she could get tested for STIs and confront him, etc. This way, if she showed him the messages, it doesn't point him to me and our chat history from when we met, in case he finds out at some other date that I work with her. I have told her she can email me again if she has any questions. The day after I sent it, she called in to say she would need time off work and told me what was happening. I have given her a couple of weeks of leave and referred her to EAP. I really hope she will be okay. I am grateful I was able to communicate this to her so she knew what he was doing, but without ruining things for her at work. And on a personal note, I hope she leaves his butt pronto. Thanks for the advice, everyone. Let's check in with the audience for a couple reactions. The first one says, "Bless her heart, and thank you for doing her a solid." The OP replies, "I really hope she will be okay. The only thing is that every time we hooked up, we weren't safe, and I get tested regularly, so hopefully he does and her physical health is not at risk." Another person says, "Very sympathetic way of handling this. Glad you accomplished what you wanted. Your dilemma stayed with me, like trying to solve Rubik's Cubes. I even gave my daughter and granddaughter your story, and we were all stumped. So very happy you figured it out." The OP replies, "Yeah, I was beginning to despair. The easiest thing would have been to have done nothing, but that would have just eaten me up. It is still eating me up, being her manager and knowing what I know, but I'm going to try and put that in the past and just support her in the workplace while she works through this." You did the right thing, OP. His wife did deserve to know. He was putting her at risk for contracting whatever he might be catching through his frivolous cheating. Not only that, but he has children. If he doesn't want to be a family man, that's on him. He shouldn't be pretending to be the perfect father or perfect husband. Thoughts? Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time on rSpace.